You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published?
Congratulations, butthead.
Okay, but brother, you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you
preposterously and stupidly wrong.
I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me.
Blasphemy against you? Who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser?
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. Thank you for tuning in. A lot going on in the news right now. Laken Riley's killer, Jose Ibarra, just convicted in Athens, Georgia, a few hours ago. And he's already sentenced to life in prison without parole. Got to check in on that story. Ukraine is shooting U.S.-made missiles into Russia now. And Russia is saying, well, gee, it'd be a shame if that game turned nuclear, wouldn't it? So buckle up for Joe Biden's last couple months in office, I guess. Before all of that, I'll get to what really matters, which, of course, is making sure that trannies can take a dump in the Capitol women's bathrooms.
That's disgusting.
I say it's like say that like it's a joke, but it is a serious matter now that we have the historic first transgender member of Congress, the first trans congressman-elect or congresswoman-elect, I guess we're supposed to believe. So we'll get through that. And then the second half of the show, I'll take your calls, of course. Stand by, because I have a surprise guest joining me for calls. Stick around. We had some technical difficulties before live. So, you know, the duct tape production could always be in play, but I do expect a surprise guest to join me in the latter half of the show for calls. And I'll catch up with your Superchats as well before I'm out of here. Speaking of supporting the show, hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show. You can do that for as little as $1 a month over on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com, or mattis.gay if you prefer brevity. Listener support, of course, keeps the operation running. It is hugely appreciated. There are perks available for support as well. mattchristiansenmedia.com/support, linked in the description. And hey, our friends at Hero Soap Company have just launched the Freedom Box right in time for the holidays. It's a great gift idea for Christmas, of course. The Freedom Box features 4 new exclusive soaps, all inspired by the triumphs of American history. Boston Tea Party is clean, fresh, and calming. Overmountain is woodsy. Frontiers is masculine. And Liberty Cleanse is woodsy, sweet, and musky. You can pick up a Freedom Box, or, of course, you can pick up my signature soaps, Timberline and Old West, or anything else from Hero Soap, including shampoo, conditioner, liquid body wash, cologne, and more. 10% off all of it using promo code MCListener at checkout. That's promo code MCListener for 10% off. Anything and everything from our friends at Hero Soap Company, herosoapcompany.com. Check out mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals for all the information. Couple items of housekeeping. I do expect to be live next week. That will be the 27th, Wednesday the 27th. Of course, that's the day before Thanksgiving, so I might do a little bit of a shorter show, but I'll be around. My family's not going anywhere, so I'll do a stream that night. And if I change my mind for some unexpected reason, you're looking for the show, you can't find it again, just head over to the website. I'll post an announcement on the website and on X as well if there's any change of plans. And as I kind of settle into the groove of the new stream and figuring out how I want this to go, I guess I haven't really explained for people what they should expect as far as the calls. So my plan is to keep calls as a regular part of the Wednesday show. We'll do them in the latter half of the show like I'm going to do tonight. They may be mixed in on Sundays on rare occasion, but just if you're a caller to the show, just so you can plan on what to expect, generally assume that the latter half of the Wednesday show is going to be the time for calls. And there might be other special times mixed in here and there. Now, I should have mentioned, too, earlier when I mentioned the calls, if you haven't called in yet and you're curious about how to do that, the link to the Discord server for how to call is in the description. If you join the server, there are instructions, and my friendly call screener, Tim, will help you out if you need any. All right, let's get into the news. Recall the House Ethics Committee investigation into now former Congressman and Trump Attorney General pick Matt Gaetz. Discussed that on Sunday. The committee has been investigating allegations that Gaetz had sex with a minor and did drugs and sent nudes and other things, even though Merrick Garland's DOJ couldn't come up with enough evidence to charge him criminally. Well, Gaetz is now out of Congress, of course, pursuant to this AG job. So the question is, will this House Ethics Committee report get released? Now, if they were to release it, that would be a break from the norm. The House isn't supposed to be investigating and publishing material about private citizens. It's only supposed to be doing this with its membership. Matt Gaetz is no longer a member of the House, but of course he is a guy who wants a big, important job in the executive branch of the federal government. So there's all kinds of political pressure to release that report so Matt Gaetz can be thoroughly vetted for this AG job. The House Ethics Committee met today behind closed doors and could not reach an agreement on whether to release the report, so it won't be released for now. Congresswoman Susan Wild, a Pennsylvania Democrat, told reporters there was a vote in committee about releasing the report, but there was no consensus, as in there wasn't a simple majority to do it. There will be another committee meeting on December 5th to consider the matter further. So this decision today, which is no decision, that's not final. This matter's just tabled for a couple weeks, but it sounds like there could be movement on it imminently. The full House could also vote to force the Ethics Committee to release the report. The report, this reporting in NBC says that could happen as early as tomorrow, as in Thursday. After tomorrow, the House is on break for Thanksgiving. Now, I don't see how that's going to happen. They have this technical path here. But Mike Johnson would have to change his mind. Speaker Johnson has already said he opposes releasing the report because, again, he thinks the jurisdiction of the Ethics Committee is membership of the House, and that doesn't include Matt Gaetz anymore. So if Mike Johnson opposes the release of this report, I'm not sure how this even gets to a House vote without the Speaker's support. This reporting in NBC has some procedural outline about how Democrats could force it. Frankly, I don't really understand it technically, but they're saying it's possible. But bottom line, no Matt Gaetz report for now. Maybe later. We'll have to check back on it. But you heard it in the intro there. This was one of the greatest TV arguments I've seen in a long time. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks and historian Allan Lichtman got hilariously heated on Piers Morgan's show. Now, Allan Lichtman is famous for developing this, the so-called keys to the White House. This was an election forecasting model he's put together since 1984. And according to this reporting in the New York Post, he's correctly predicted almost every presidential race since 1984. Now, many of them were just predictable from a layman's perspective. Like 1984 was not exactly a close election, but okay, he's got this model that's highly successful. One of the exceptions in his accuracy would be this last election. Lichtman incorrectly predicted a Kamala Harris win. And so Cenk of the Young Turks, he's ripping Allan Lichtman for getting it wrong. Apparently they've had some sort of debate or encounter in the past. I didn't see it, but Cenk references it. And Allan Lichtman is getting mad that Cenk is getting so personal, calling him stupidly wrong and things like that. So it's a little bit of a long clip. The build-up toward the end is worth it, though.
Look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
Couldn't
not
find
right,
them
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong. And that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be
Who
taking
won?
cheap
Who
shots
won?
at me.
Who won?
You want to make your
You
point,
live
make your
in a
point.
total
Don't make it
world of
personal.
denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
You don't know anything.
You attacked me
You
personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program,
published
I've never been
13
able
books.
to finish a
How
thought.
many books have you published? Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother,
personal
you got it
attacks.
wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong. Can I just
Don't
finish
call
a
me
goddamn thought
stupid.
ever on this show?
No, not if you're
Okay,
personally.
well,
I
you proved
admitted
it.
I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
I'll just say
What
it's
kind
great
of
to see
nonsense
you
is that?
Democrats
Yeah, I
all
know.
getting
Who
along
taught
so
you
well.
manners?
Hey, Allan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second and let someone who knows what
Not
they're doing
if you're
speak?
gonna personally
Okay?
attack
You're
me.
so right.
So-
We're so
Make any
unified right now.
point you
Okay.
want.
So-
I will not sit here and stand
So-
for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't boost your
Blasphemy
ego
against you?
by
Who the hell are
attacking
you?
me
Are you
like that.
Jesus
Just
Christ,
make your
you
points.
loser? Okay, can
Make your points.
I just give the correct answer for once?
What's that kid's name? That Harry kid or whatever everybody makes fun of on X, Twitter, whatever. Like he's alleged to be a paid DNC operative. I don't know much about him. I only see his tweets hanging out every once in a while, but he's enjoying it. You got you got Juan Williams there. There are two other people on that panel who have no opportunity to speak. Now, I actually thought the first time I heard that Cenk is saying you need a glass of shut up juice. I thought he said shut up Jew. You need a glass of shut up Jew. That's not what he said. You need a glass of shut up juice. But I love the academic flexing. Oh, I've written 13 books. How many books have you written? Yeah, but can you beat Joe Biden in a push-up contest, though? You know
Come
what
on, man.
I say what they do is they split the difference. Cenk and Allan Lichtman should have a bench press contest, and they can use the books, Allan Lichtman's beloved books, all 13 of them, as the weights for this bench press contest, because we know there are a whole bunch of boxes of unread, unused books sitting around. I will tune in to watch that. If Netflix wants a redemption from the botched Tyson-Jake Paul fight, let's get this Cenk v. Allan Lichtman bench press contest going. Of course, the oddest part of that is the blasphemy claim. I'm not going to sit here for listen to your blasphemy against me. And Cenk's reaction is hilarious. Well, who the hell are you, Jesus Christ? I don't understand what Allan Lichtman even means. And Allan Lichtman, whatever you think of him, he's not an idiot. As in, like, he knows the definition of the term blasphemy. I don't think he's using it thinking it means something other than it means. So does Allan Lichtman actually mean to call himself God? Or to say that his election forecasting is gospel? I need a little clarification from him on that. But whatever is going on, Cenk maybe is following the path of Anna Kasparian, his co-host over at the Young Turks. Now, recall back in 2022 that a hobo with a boner humped Anna on the LA streets when she was bending over to pick up her dog's poop.
That's disgusting.
And now she thinks maybe we should arrest criminals again. This was her great political awakening, her red pilling. A hobo with a boner started humping her when she bent over to pick up her dog's poop. That sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. You can look it up. It's a 100% true story. And it wasn't really the hobo humping that was the red pilling. It's the fact that she posted about this on social media and got a lot of backlash from her own followers for being supposedly anti-homeless or insensitive to the homeless and so forth. So that prompted the red pilling of Anna Kasparian, and she's been in some level of conflict with the progressive left ever since. Is Cenk heading down something of a similar path? Cenk, the other day, was tweeting at Elon Musk, because, of course, Elon Musk is going to be running this new Department of Government Efficiency, looking at ways to slash waste in the government, make recommendations for things we can cut, get the government slimmer, trimmer. Good luck. But hey, at least there's the attempt, right? So Cenk is tweeting at Elon Musk and saying, hey, why don't you put me in charge of the Pentagon? Because I'll slash $500 billion almost easily. And Elon Musk says, sure, do you have specific suggestions? And Cenk responds, he says, well, one of the things I'd like to see is that generals in the U.S. military, they're not allowed to get a job with defense contractors for 10 years after they leave the military. And that way, while they're in the military, they won't be authorizing such wasteful spending because they're trying to get hired when they're done by these defense contractors. And Donald Trump Jr. joins the conversation and says, hey, that's a great idea. And it's actually been discussed. And so Cenk responds to Donald Trump Jr. And he says, well, the left they're yelling at me not to work with MAGA. There's Trump Jr., though, saying we should limit generals from working for defense contractors. That's a policy we've been pushing for and gotten nowhere with Democrats on. Who cares who does it as long as it gets done? So stand by for the Cenk redemption arc, I suppose. Also, recall a few weeks ago, Donald Trump on the campaign trail in Arizona, he was talking to Tucker Carlson. He said something to the effect of Liz Cheney should have to fight in the wars that she supports so much. And Democrats and media stirred that up into a controversy to suggest that Trump had called for the execution of Liz Cheney by firing squad. And then the hack attorney general in Arizona said she was launching a criminal investigation to see if Trump should or could be charged for this supposed threat. And as I discussed on the stream at the time, she urgently needs a Big Bird costume because she's apparently forgotten the First Amendment. But the AG, Chris Mace is her name. She has now completed her investigation. And as everyone knew would happen, including her and including every lawyer on her team knew would happen, her legal team has discovered that Trump's comments don't meet the legal standard to be considered a threat, which they knew the second that they heard the clip, but they wanted to make some political opportunity of it. But speaking of bogus, politically motivated investigations and prosecutions, there was an interesting sighting down at the Justice Department yesterday. Per a photo provided by the Oversight Project, this is apparently a watchdog arm of the Heritage Foundation, there was a truck parked outside the DOJ. Now you zoom in on that truck, and what does it say? It says the Shredding Company, Document and Product Destruction, with their phone number and their website. Now, of course, a truck might be parked by the Justice Department for any number of reasons, but notably, look closely, this truck had its cargo door open and the lift or the ramp down. There was clearly some business happening at the Justice Department building. Maybe the quest to delete government agencies is already taking care of itself. No word on whether Hillary was in there wiping servers with a cloth, of course. Now, I gather that there are document destruction activities going on at various federal departments and bureaus regularly, that this is not necessarily odd, but it is quite the sight, isn't it? It makes you think. What exactly is being destroyed? I assume it's just nothing but meaningless PowerPoints they've put together over the last few years. All the meeting agendas that were sitting near everybody's coffee that they have to get rid of or something like that. Anyway, the trans war, as I mentioned, the trans war is on in Congress. Apparently, before I bury the lead, the matter's already settled. The tranny has surrendered. There will be no dumps. There will be no man dumps in the women's bathroom of the Capitol, at least for the foreseeable future. But to back up and give the context for this story, one of the things somewhat buried in the election news is the fact that we now have the historic first trans member of Congress. And this trans congressman or woman-elect is named Sarah McBride, formerly Tim McBride, elected to Delaware's or elected from Delaware's at-large district. And of course, that's Joe Biden's district in Delaware. And Joe Biden has a personal connection to this transgender congressman, congresswoman elect, Congress thing elect. But this Sarah, formerly Tim McBride, has a long history of making history, actually. And it's many things accomplished by growing his hair long and putting on some blush. Tim McBride became Sarah McBride when he was in college at American University. You can see what he looked like formerly. He actually wrote an editorial. Whoops, let me get this back up. Sorry about that. He wrote an editorial in, or he wrote some kind of op-ed to come out at American University when he was a student there in 2011. And, of course, he made it a big self-glorifying announcement in the student paper. He's since been press secretary at the Human Rights Campaign, which, of course, is a LGBT advocacy group based in D.C., I believe. And then he was elected to Delaware State Senate in 2021. I think the first openly transgender member of the Delaware State Legislature. Now, McBride is also a former White House intern, and he makes you wonder, were there any fraudulent Monica Lewinskys on the job from Sarah McBride? No accusations so far, but you always have to ask the question. McBride was actually the first openly transgender person to work in the White House in any role. And he wrote a book called Tomorrow Will Be Different, Love, Loss, and the Fight for Trans Equality back in 2018. And Joe Biden actually wrote the foreword to that book.
That's a big game, man.
Presumably the foreword includes the classic story about Joe Biden and his dad pulling up curbside in Wilmington and seeing two guys making out down the street. And Joe Biden's dad saying, there's nothing weird about that at all, Joey. That's just love. Even though such things they might have even been illegal in the 50s. But that was Joe Biden's dad. He looked at gay guys making out in public and he said, there's nothing weird about that at all.
That's a big game, man.
Or maybe, I don't know, I have to read this forward. Maybe there's a news story in there about how young Joe Biden was walking down the sidewalk in Wilmington and he saw a guy with a beard and a huge rack. And Joe Biden's dad said, nothing weird about that, Joey. T's are T's. It doesn't matter what's up top or down low. The T's, as long as whatever, you get the.
That's a big game, man.
I don't know what Joe Biden's dad would say. But, if Joe Biden's dad sees a nice rack, he doesn't care if it's a man or a woman. That's the point of the story. Of course, this new development raises the question, what is the bathroom policy at the Capitol going to be? Will this guy be free to patrol and peruse the women's restrooms if he sees fit? Now, as far as I see, Sarah McBride did not necessarily pick this particular version of the fight himself, but he has taken up the bathroom sword in the past. And actually, that's probably a poor choice of words because he brought his bathroom sword into the bathroom in the past. Back in 2016, when North Carolina controversially banned men in women's bathrooms, Sarah McBride posted a photo of himself in a public bathroom he wasn't supposed to be in. And he said, stop this. We're the good people. Because I guess the good people allow men in women's bathrooms. Now, if you're taking photos in a public bathroom and posting them on the internet, you are not the good person, actually. But especially if you're a man hanging out in a women's restroom and posting photos from inside the women's restroom. Now, thankfully, I don't see any feet in those stalls. I don't think there are women in there, but this is not good person behavior. So, enter Nancy Mace, Congresswoman from South Carolina, of course. And Nancy Mace is trying to get ahead of this. And she introduces a resolution to amend the rules of the House so that only women are allowed in the women's bathrooms of the Capitol office buildings. Now, Nancy Mace is not attempting to hide her motive at all. So, what are you doing this about? Are you doing this in direct response to new transgender Congress, air quotes, woman-elect Sarah McBride? And Nancy Mace doesn't deny it. She says, absolutely, yes, this move is about Sarah McBride personally. But of course, it's a good rule to have in general anyway.
Is this effort in response to Congresswoman McBride's coming to Congress?
Yes, and absolutely, and then some. I'm not going to stand for a man, if someone with a penis is in the women's locker room, that's not okay. If any man who wants to be in a women's restroom, in our locker rooms, in our changing rooms, I will be there fighting you every step of the way.
On Monday night, Sarah McBride posted on X in response, quote, "Every day Americans go to work with people who have life journeys different than their own and engage with them respectfully. I hope members of Congress can muster that same kindness." In another post, he said, quote, "This is a blatant attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact that they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing," which fittingly is exactly backward. Why did far-right extremists perform so well in this election? And are they actually extreme if they represent a majority of the country, or at least a majority of the voters in the country? And contrary to what McBride is saying here about common decency and that Americans are actually on his side of this, Democrat delusions about gender and transgenderism hugely costly to them electorally by polling, even average Democrat voters. They know this stuff is insane nonsense. By the way, there's nothing disrespectful about saying no to men entering a women's bathroom. If any other man tries to go in there, as in a normal man not wearing makeup and a dress and the whole bit, if a normal man tries to go in there, he's going to be asked to leave immediately. If he tries it in, he's going to get arrested. And nothing about putting on the costume changes the inherent threat, the inherent power imbalance that a man being in a women's private space necessarily entails. That brings us to Speaker Mike Johnson. Now, yesterday, Speaker Johnson addressed the controversy, saying his position, shockingly, men are men and women are women, and neither one of them can become the other.
For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe, that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions.
Now, notice there, Mike Johnson is speaking to exactly the sort of kindness, exactly the sort of dignity that Sarah McBride implies he may not receive in Congress. It's just that you don't have an entitlement to swing your dick around in a women's bathroom, or what's left of it. I don't know what Sarah McBride's chop or not situation actually is. At what stage on the journey that he referenced he actually is. But as far as policy here, Mike Johnson says that he supports this effort to keep men out of the women's bathrooms in the Capitol, and vice versa, to the extent there might be a male identifying female member or someone else who might be there who wants to use the men's room. But he says he supports this, and he not just says it, it's being enacted now. The policy will be single-sex facilities are available only to members of that sex. That includes bathrooms, changing rooms, and locker rooms. There are also unisex facilities in the Capitol, and each member has a private bathroom in his or her office as well. And yeah, I thought there would have to be some kind of vote. Like Nancy Mace would introduce a resolution and there'd have to be some kind of vote on this, which I thought would be wildly entertaining because Democrats are going to go on record for the freak show bathrooms. But that's not the way that this will work. Mike Johnson actually has unilateral authority on it. The Speaker has general control of facilities in the chamber, giving him the authority to issue the bathroom policy, according to the Hill's reporting. So barring any change in Speaker, which could happen, obviously McCarthy was booted and it's going to be a very slim Republican majority in the new Congress. But unless we see some significant change from the Speaker, that's going to be the policy of the new Congress in January. And for now, it looks like Sarah McBride is surrendering. Sarah McBride issued a statement earlier today saying he's not here to fight about bathrooms and will follow the rules as given by Speaker Johnson, even if he disagrees with them. which makes sense. He could make a show of it and try to drum up Democrat support for this. I'm not sure how many of them would actually be eager for that, considering the recent electoral loss. And one of the big things driving that is a total disconnect on these sorts of issues. But McBride doesn't have a lot of actual power or leverage in the situation. It's up to the speaker, whoever's party, the Democrats. They're out of power. There's just not a lot of power to leverage in this situation. As one commenter noted, McBride thanked Johnson for his professionalism and is just grateful they could settle this like men. For the effort, Nancy Mace actually got some fan mail from some kind of tranny on Instagram. This guy is under the account Venus Penis, which is now deactivated as far as I see. But he posted this video saying he wants to find Nancy Mace in a women's bathroom and beat her face bloody until she dies.
This video goes out to Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, I hope that one day I do find you in that women's bathroom and I grab your ratty looking fucking hair and drag your face down to the floor while I repeatedly bash it in until the blood's everywhere and you're dead. Thank you. I hope that Nancy Mace receives this message well. Kiss.
Shut up, faggot.
That ain't no woman. It's a man.
Ironically, that's a very solid demonstration why men should not be in women's bathrooms. Exactly that. So he can't grab Nancy Mace's ratty hair and throw her face against a toilet bowl or something. Now, Venus Penis, this account, also made some kind of post on Instagram saying, prepare to die at Rep Nancy Mace with a knife emoji. Also added in some of the commentary, I condone murder. I think we need to hold our politicians accountable by murdering them. So maybe kind of accidentally based, but not quite all there. A little too insane, probably. I'm sure the Arizona Attorney General will be investigating these political threats very shortly. But Venus Penis isn't done there. Venus Penis also wants to kill J.K. Rowling. Called for J.K. Rowling to be assassinated, I assume for the same anti-trans reasons. He said, that fucking witch needs to die. She needs to burn at the stake and die. I think we should all come together and murder everyone. That is a contradiction. How does everybody come together to murder everyone? I do need that logistically explained to me. Either everyone's coming together or everyone's dead. I don't get how this is possible. Maybe just everyone in the political class? I don't know. I think things would be better if we all came together to murder everyone. Now this guy, Venus Penis, is certainly on the fast track to joining the trans genocide statistic. And I buried the lead there too, because today or one of the upcoming days, Trans Day of Remembrance. Don't forget, we have to remember all the people murdered because of fraudulent blowies and all the other fake transgender murders that they can come up with, like the ones who try to stab cops and get shot for it and things like that. I haven't looked at this year's report, but I'm sure the Human Rights Campaign has it very shortly. And remember, Sarah McBride worked for the Human Rights Campaign. The people that put out this report about the supposed trans genocide, Sarah McBride worked there for a while. Now, unclear who this Venus Penis person actually is, like real identity, where they live. Probably something for law enforcement in that area to investigate and figure out, though.
Definitely worth checking into.
If we learn more, we'll come back to the story. Now, in news that I knew was coming, but I'm surprised how quick it actually was. Laken Riley's killer, Jose Ibarra, already convicted and sentenced in Athens, Georgia. The trial only began on Friday. I discussed it a little bit on Sunday. It's already over. It was a bench trial, as I mentioned, decided by the judge, no jury, at Ibarra's request. The evidence was overwhelming. He was never going to be acquitted. But I didn't anticipate the speed with which this conviction would be delivered. Sounds like the defense didn't have much of a case. But AP headline here, man convicted of killing Laken Riley. He's just a man. There are no other relevant descriptors of Jose Ibarra. Hey, why is Jose Ibarra wearing those headphones? I guess he really likes listening to podcasts while he's on trial for murder. Or is it because he needs a translator? Yeah, not only do we're importing people who kill our kids, and we have to pay for translation services so that they can hear the proceedings at their murder trial. But remember, of course, this is the case of man, otherwise known as illegal alien Venezuelan, Trende Aragua guy, Jose Ibarra, who went rape hunting on the University of Georgia campus back in February, attacked and killed 22-year-old Laken Riley, who was out on a jog. And he chased after her, and the two fought for the better part of 20 minutes until he beat her to death with a rock to the head. Now, Ibarra was convicted on all 10 counts, including malice murder, 3 counts of felony murder, kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated assault with intent to rape, and more. The sentence is life without parole. Remember, prosecutors did not seek the death penalty in this case. So we're going to get to take care of this guy until he dies, or maybe some other prison gang will take care of him beforehand. Now, one of the interesting things to come out at the trial, because of course his guilt was really a foregone conclusion. There were tons of evidence tying him to this. But one of the things that we learned about his story through the trial is how exactly he got to Athens, Georgia. We already knew that Jose Ibarra was in New York last fall, where he was arrested and charged for, quote, acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 and motor vehicle license violation. I don't know the exact circumstances of that arrest, but he was arrested by New York authorities. Rather than turn him over to ICE or get a detainer out for him, he was released. New York authorities just let him go. So then how did he get from New York to Georgia? Well, that's where we got some new information. He got a flight for humanitarian reasons. For humanitarian reasons, we flew a Venezuelan gang member to a different part of the country to go attempt to rape and end up killing an American citizen young woman. And this humanitarian flight, presumably, was taxpayer funded. One of the witnesses at the trial was Ibarra's former roommate, Rosabelli Flores Bello. And she testified that they being Ibarra and the rest of the people in this group, they requested a flight from a migrant intake center at Manhattan's Roosevelt Hotel, and they were given airfare to get out of town.
How did you get to Athens?
In New York, we asked in Manhattan.
En el Hotel Roosevelt.
And Hotel Roosevelt.
De Manhattan pedimos un vuelo humanitario aquí hasta Atlanta.
In Manhattan, we requested for a humanitarian flight to come here to Atlanta.
Now, how is it taxpayer funded? Well, a lot of these humanitarian flights, they're handled by private nonprofits who are supposedly helping these people in need. But these nonprofits get government grants for the purposes of providing humanitarian support, doing humanitarian work. And again, humanitarian work in this case is flying a Venezuelan gang member who shouldn't be here to your town to kill your kid. So what a great cooperation between the government and supposed charities here. Now, earlier today, there was a moment after the verdict that nearly got me. And there aren't a lot of moments in news or internet videos or digital media in general, things that are out there on the internet, not with me physically, that prompt me to tear up a little bit. I wasn't bawling for this, but man, if there aren't a few tears jerked from this one, I don't think that you're human. Laken Riley's dad offered a statement to the court, and he did talk a little bit about his daughter. But part of it was reading one of Laken Riley's last journal entries, and it was from December of last year. And in it, she wrote to her future husband she had yet to meet. And she says she's doing everything to follow Christ to find him, and to make herself into the best wife and mom that she can be.
I think one of her last journal entries dated 12/17/23 says it best. To my
Stepfather,
future
rather,
husband,
not father.
I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be. I'm focusing on God and what He defines as a faithful Christian wife, and so that I can best embody those characteristics. I pray that you know that it is with my full faith and trust in God that I know this relationship has been handcrafted by Him. I pray that we continue to glorify the Lord, prioritize Him in every aspect of our lives, and raise our family, our future family, to be God-fearing Christians as well. I thank Him for you before I even know you. May our relationship last forever. Your future wife, Laken. That, Your Honor, was our beautiful Laken. That, Your Honor, is just a glimpse of what was tragically and brutally taken from her and us that day.
I don't know how that family doesn't shoot Jose Ibarra right in the face right there. Clearly a very solid family. And of course, Laken Riley is now a wife that will never be. She's now a mom that will never be. That guy's stepdaughter, that family's daughter, sister, was taken. But it's not just that. So was the son-in-law that she's writing to. So are the children that she's talking about. That would be the grandchildren or the nieces or nephews of the rest of them. And Joe Biden, of course, can't even remember her name. He thinks that she's Laken Riley and she coaches football at USC.
Come on, man.
So Jose Ibarra is a murderer. We all knew that. There are accomplices here. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, authorities in New York City, if not the individual law enforcement officers, the policy crafters in New York, that think it's a good idea to allow not just illegal aliens to go free, even when they're caught, but illegal aliens who are committing crimes in this country beyond their entry. We're still going to let them go. We're not going to make an effort to get rid of them. As far as I'm concerned, all of these people are to varying degrees accessories to murder. But, what else is new? Diversity is our strength, of course. Sorry for Laken Riley's family, but, there's so many supposed benefits that are obvious otherwise. Now, pursuant to this problem, Trump said, and the problem of the amount of illegal immigration or redefined illegal immigration into this country that we've seen over the Biden tenure, Trump said on Monday that he plans to declare a national emergency to authorize the military to carry out his mass deportation plans. At least that's implied by Trump saying true in response to a post by Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch describing that course of action. And of course, this is going to be very logistically difficult. We have millions, tens of millions of candidates for deportation in this country. But this operation, this coming military operation for deportation, also going to be complicated by a very brave CNN analyst named Julie Radzinski, a Democratic strategist. She says that she and many others will physically stop the operation with protest.
Promise you with every fiber of my being, because I'll probably be one of those people, that if anybody comes for these people and tries to drag them out by force, there will be protests of people like me, American citizens, who are going to stand there and do everything possible to prevent these women and children, which is all who these people are.
How about the criminals? How about the terrorists? How about the convicted?
How do you sort through? How do you know who it is?
How do you sort through? That's the problem. I don't know who it is.
Stop. I'm sorry. I live next to these people. I can tell you they are women and they are children. Are there terrorists among them? I don't know. But I can tell you that there are.
Neither does the government.
But I can tell you. But let me tell. Okay. But what I'm telling you right now, practically speaking, is that there will be people, American citizens, who will prevent these little kids from being dragged out of these shelters.
She lives next to illegals who may be terrorists, she says.
I doubt it.
I want to know exactly where this neighborhood is. But so many amazing things about that clip beyond just this lady thinking that she's going to do anything physical about it. She says, we don't know who these people are. Again, a lot of these illegal immigrants that have entered the country. She says we don't know who they are, and that's in defense of keeping them here. That's not an argument to remove them. She says, no, that's why we have to keep them here. She says, I don't know if they're terrorists. Who knows? They might be. Again, that's in defense of them staying here in her mind. Who really knows who they are? They could be terrorists. That's why we have to keep them here, apparently. And she appears to think that illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, universally women and children, I guess. They're not. There are lots and lots of Jose Ibarras who aren't just illegal immigrants. They have committed additional crimes when they get here. And those people will be prioritized by this program, I assure you. But even if there are women and children who are deported or are targeted for deportation, okay, sorry, but you don't have a legal right to be here, so you got to go. You can't take an infinite vacation in another country just because you're a woman. You don't have a right to take an infinite vacation in another country just because you dragged a child along with you. There are rules. You follow the rules or you get out. That's the way it has worked in every country or every sane country in the history of the world until the West got suicidal within the last decade or so. I just got to know who her real neighbors are, because it's a 0% chance it is actually Consuela, the potential terrorist, and her baby Diego. I want to know. But last topic before we get to some calls in the latter half of the show. Silly us, because we all thought that we were voting to avoid World War III. Maybe Trump's victory meant that war in Ukraine, war in Gaza, these things could be negotiated to an end. No, there's still plenty of time for Joe Biden and company to figure out what they can do about realizing their dreams of global conflict. Now, upon Joe Biden's authorization this week, Ukraine has fired U.S.-made missiles into Russian territory to strike a military facility in western Russia. This is apparently some sort of ammunition depot. Now, Biden's sales pitch on Ukraine aid throughout his presidency has been, well, defensive use only, as in within Ukrainian territory only. Ukraine is defending itself. That's all we're helping them do. Not anymore, apparently. Ukrainian officials confirmed a strike on an ammunition depot in the city of Karachev, despite reports in the media, I'm not actually fluent in Russian and I don't know how to say the names of their places. But this city is 71 miles into Russia beyond the border with Ukraine. And there were several missiles fired. Russia says they downed many of them, but of course, it's not really about this strike in particular or what particular damage this strike caused. It's about the escalation that this strike represents. And now Russia is saying, okay, well, if a nuclear power like the United States is arming their ally in Ukraine to shoot us, Russia, for them, maybe nukes are fair game. Because the U.S. has nukes, we have nukes. Why don't we stop all the footsie and get to business, is what Russia is saying. So maybe we will. Maybe we'll make this war nuclear. Here's some reporting from NBC this morning.
It's another major U.S. policy shift after the White House allowed Ukraine to use long-range missiles inside of Russia, a move President Biden long resisted. Ukraine quickly firing 6 U.S. missiles across the Russian border for the first time. Moscow saying it intercepted 5 of the missiles and firing back with a message unmistakably directed at Ukraine and the U.S., saying it may now use nuclear weapons if attacked by a non-nuclear country allied with a nuclear state. Russia's foreign minister at the G20 summit in Brazil.
We are strongly in favor of doing everything not to allow nuclear war to happen.
NBC's Courtney Kuby speaking overnight with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin at a summit in Laos.
No, I don't see an indication that there's an imminent intent to use nuclear weapons.
And I think that's the most worrisome thing about this. You got Lloyd Austin saying, I don't see any sign of forthcoming nuclear war. That means there's definitely forthcoming nuclear war. It's imminent, so get to your bunker. Of course, Russia often speaks loosely about nukes. They've done this many times in the past. There's nothing necessarily new about that. But the use of U.S. weapons to shoot at Russia and into Russian territory well beyond their border, that is new in the nearly 3 years of this war. And so in preparation for more conflict, the U.S. is also closing the embassy in Kyiv. An urgent warning was issued today that Russia is planning a significant air attack. U.S. embassy personnel have been directed to shelter in place. What exactly Russia will do in response remains unclear, though they have pledged a response. Now, seriously speaking, I try to avoid the hyperbolic World War III talk, at least in any serious way. However, objectively speaking here, the U.S. just took a significant new step of escalation. Russia is saying that move changes the rules of engagement. If Russia responds within these new rules of engagement, like attacking NATO proper, then NATO, as in the U.S. and our allied countries in Europe, they would assuredly respond because they have an obligation to under the terms of NATO. If one member's attacked, they're all attacked and they all come to the defense. If something like that happened, we have a serious problem to resolve. So I don't want to be overly alarmist or overly hyperbolic, but this is certainly a new phase in the conflict, and it looks to be heading in the wrong direction. But with that, let me check in and see if my surprise is here yet. I think he might still be standing by. So let's see. I'll give him a chance to. He's not supposed to be here until the top of the hour, so I'll wait on that for a minute, and let's check in with Super Chat. Let's do that. See what's going on there. Over on Rumble, Ninja Kitty Bonk says, "Great that POS is getting life without parole, but justice would be better served with a few million gigawatts." Well, how about the sort of gang execution that he deserves? Maybe that's coming. I don't know. Compound Fracture, thank you, Ninja Kitty. Nancy Mace was the first woman to graduate from the Citadel Military Academy after it was forced to admit women in 95. She only has herself to blame for destroying male-only and female-only spaces. Now, that's interesting. I didn't know that was that she was a glass breaker in that way. Now, I've had my own. I'm not a huge Nancy Mace fan for a whole bunch of reasons that are kind of unrelated to this conflict. I didn't want to get into that because it's not really relevant. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of truth to that. Again, assuming the premise there that if you are insisting that women belong in men's spaces, this is the flip side of that. And I think it would be interesting to hear her response to that premise. Thank you, Compound Fracture. Dangerous Spaces, friendly call screener Tim. Son of a bitch, first Tampon Tim, and now this Tim McBride dude. Why do all the morons keep ruining my name? Yeah, that's funny. The Tims are getting a rough go lately. At this point, I'm going to have to change my name so people don't assume that I'm weird.
I've become friends with school shooters.
Well, maybe you just embrace it and you become friends with them too. Godspeed to all Tims out there. Okay, what says $5 for Matt? Well, thank you much for that. Appreciate it. Let's see. Over on Tippy Stream, Long Dong John says, my prediction of starting World War III before Trump's inauguration is coming true. This is the deep state's play. Not another assassination, not another lawfare case, but allowing Trump to win and have him rule over the ruins. How's your bunker, Matt? Well, everybody's bunker could be improved. But, I'm trying to check my optimism. I'm happy about the way the election went. I think that the prospect for the future is higher than it was otherwise. But yeah, there's a lot of damage that can be done in a short amount of time too. And Joe Biden has proved that. So could you have a drastically different situation come late February than you do right now? Certainly. That said, I am at least thankful to have a new administration to come in to potentially address that and deal with that rather than having these buffoons stay in office and continue to expand on the damage they've already done. Thank you, Long Dong. Esoteric Unbound says, Sunday You read half a sentence of my super chat. Oh, maybe I missed it. Sorry. Or maybe I got confused. You read half a sentence of my super chat and then stopped and said you already read it, but you hadn't. Then you said you weren't. Then you said there weren't any more YouTube super chats and closed down the stream 30 minutes earlier than usual. I assume this was an example of shrinkflation and you are one of the price gougers the Dems are going on about lately. I suppose that's my just dessert for voting Orange Hitler and then looming dark night of fascism. Well, thank you for your good-naturedness about the Miss Super Chat. No, I think I probably just got confused because obviously I saw it. I must have thought I read it and hadn't. As far as I gather that you're poking in jest. As far as like length of stream and stuff, there's not necessarily like a set target, but I would like to have the stream closer to say 2 hours, like 90 minutes to 2 hours generally, rather than closer to 3. But you know, that doesn't mean that I'm going to cut off super chat. And as far as I'm aware, there wasn't super chat that was cut off, other than the one that I missed from you. So I apologize for that. But as always, if I miss your chat, you can send me an email and I will get you a refund, of course. Thank you. You know what? Tell you what, I'll go back and read it. I think I can go look at it right now. Esoteric Unbound says, on the road during last week's show. This is the one. Have to be up in 5 hours for a flight to the left coast. I'll listen to the rest of the show on the plane. Wanted to contribute to some duct tape before hitting the sack. Well, thank you for your support. Very much appreciated. And I apologize that I missed the chat.
We love you. You're very special.
Now, to get back to where I left off. He also says, oh, no, this came through... Or did these... Wait a minute. Hold on. Now this is all messed up. Because I went back, now my current chats are a disaster. I have to reorganize. Stand by. Let me figure this out. Oh, wait, I figured it out. Okay. Long Dong John says, Matt and I once made love. He was walking down the street and picked up his dog's poo, but I could resist. Oh, did you mean you couldn't or you could?
You're acting queer.
I don't, I hope I never have the Anna Kasparian experience. That's all I can say. Barry Dworak, Trans Day of Remembrance on Elon's platform. If you haven't seen it today, you're missing out. Brutal. I guess I didn't spend a lot of time on X/Twitter today, so maybe I just didn't see. But yeah, I totally forgot that it was Trans Day of Remembrance. I remember it's always by Thanksgiving because I always want to read the report when it comes out and see what kind of bullshit is in it. And I haven't done that, so maybe I'll have to take a look in the next couple of days. But we're good there. Let me catch up. We're set on Odyssey. We're set on DLive. Looks good on Rumble. Okay, let me see if my surprise guest is here. No, he's still standing by. So we'll wait for him, and I guess I can move into callers. Let's see who's ready to call. Oh, look who's up. Phil, are you there, man? Phil?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Not bad, yourself.
You know, it's been quite a fall, man. It's been quite an experience, but I'm glad to hear from you. And what do you got for me?
I wanted to comment on the FEMA situation, but there wasn't really on that list of things from earlier.
That's all right. I'll bend the rules.
The FEMA. All right.
What do you got for me?
Well, I mean, was anybody really shocked that like a government agency would use its power to discriminate against supporters of a politician that they didn't like?
So I actually haven't talked about this at all. But as far as I understand, someone in FEMA was busted for directing people not to check in on houses in the hurricane zone that had pro-Trump signs. Is that correct?
Yes. There was a memo that had gone out, something to the effect of avoid Trump signs, and this is like from like the top, basically, is what they were saying. I guess full disclosure, I was in Florida for the 2 hurricanes because of the trade I'm in. So we actually got to help with a lot of the storm recovery, And we helped everybody. It didn't matter if they had a Kamala sign and they were a real pain in the neck. Like, we were out there helping them get their lights back on. And
I can't believe there's that level of neighborliness deep in that cold Phil heart.
I know. Well, what was funny too is when we were down there, we'd heard that like Patriot Front members were also out in different areas helping people get stuff cut up and whatever else. It just kind of goes to show you, like, those of us on the hard right aren't really these heartless bastards we're made out to be. It's just that we don't feel that we need to take care of everybody around the world.
Are you personally all
more
right?
important
What's your
than-
situation, if you don't mind sharing? What kind of impact did it have for you?
I'm not from the South, so we were just down there to the trade I'm in. We were down to
Okay.
to fix the power lines. So
okay. So
just
you were
went down
sent
to-
down specifically for like repair purposes.
right. So we
Okay.
got there the day before the first one, and then we rode the second one out down there too. So it was a lot of work and a lot of wind, but we got it done. And
Are you all finished up there? Or are you still down there?
I'm back home now.
Okay.
Been home for a couple weeks.
Well, good for you, man. That's great to hear. And all jokes aside, thank you for helping out. I'm sure it. Well, you tell me. I mean, what kind of damage, what kind of devastation were you looking at?
Well, it's a lot of the areas we were in. We were not in Tampa when the storm took the roof off the stadium there, but we were there for a few days before that. And you drive through neighborhoods and there's trash piled up in front of everybody's home, and it doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. Just like the rich neighborhoods got hit like the poor neighborhoods did. Then we were driving through Georgia there a few days into the storm too, or after the storm, and like main power lines are down along the highway, which just showed like how much was actually broken, that there was still main lines down.
Did you have any interaction
areas.
with FEMA or federal authorities at all?
I didn't. One of the friends in the server asked me to keep my eyes open, and we never saw anything. There was rumors that there were FEMA people or government people getting beat up in the Carolinas for messing around with stuff they shouldn't have messed
I
around
heard
with,
about
but
that. Was that ever confirmed or was it just
I didn't
rumored?
see that.
Okay.
I think it might have been wishful thinking. I mean, we all kind of wish we could take a swing at a government employee once in a while, I guess, or at least
Get a
I do.
free one in the hurricane
Anyway.
aftermath. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as they're showing up to help, or they're not showing up to help, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, my special guest is here, so I'm going to let you go, but I do appreciate your call, and thanks for helping out down there too. It's good to hear from you.
Take care of yourself, man.
Yeah. Have a good night. Okay, let me see if I can get my surprise guest in here. Stand by just for a minute. I love doing these reveals where people have no idea who the hell they're even looking at. Do you want to make the announcement, or I guess or should I do it? Should I take the lead?
I'll leave it to you, although I suspect I've given it away already.
There you go. People remember the voice. This is Batman of old call-in show fame. And Batman and I have been discussing ways that he might be interested in contributing to the show. And I thought it'd be fun to have Batman come in and just take calls with me, since that is the origin of Batman's fame on this stream. And so we'll try it out that way and have a little bit of fun. But thank you for joining, man. It's good to hear from you again.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
And if people don't remember the other thing too, it's not just your call-in show voice. It's the fact that you did the old movie review intro too. In a World. That was Batman. That was a good time.
It was. Yeah, it was fun to make it too.
So hopefully there will be more voice work opportunity for you in the future. And I know that's something you're into too, just like professionally, that you want to do that. So
Indeed. The trouble that I usually have is like any sort of any kind of media participation, as it were, in that everybody you try to go to speak to about getting roles, doing things like that. They're all hilarious leftoids that you don't want to spend any of your time around. So, I still have friends in that sort of sphere. And I imagine that were any of them to see this this kind of participation on my end, I'd be burning some bridges. But
oh no, I'm sure they burnt those bridges themselves.
Oh no! Anyway,
years ago, yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining, and Batman and I'll take calls for the rest of the show tonight. So pressure's on. We'll see how it goes. I'm taking notes on your performance, and we'll review after the fact. But hey, from one call-in show star to another, guess who's here? I'm sure you remember Dell, the redneck, down at the Double Wide in North Carolina. I think North Carolina, right?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Well,
yeah, we're in North Carolina.
How are you? Did we talk after the hurricane? I can't remember. Are you guys all right?
Yeah, we're fine. We didn't nothing really happened where we are. What happened was it was all out, mainly out in the mountains.
Yeah.
Out toward Asheville, out there where they had a lot of problems. Yeah, a lot of problems, especially if you had a Trump sign in your yard. Apparently.
Yeah, that's what I was just hearing from Phil. Did they do that in North Carolina too? Because the story was about Florida, right?
Oh yeah, that's the big.
Or was it North Carolina?
I'm sure they did. I mean, and I heard a bunch about people who weren't. They were like, wondering where's all the support? Where's people coming from? Where's most people coming and helping us? But nope, nobody's here.
Yeah, remember that was.
Now we know why. I'll tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot. If you out here in North Carolina, driving around, like I was driving. I don't know if I mentioned this last time or not, but driving from one side of North Carolina to the other, especially if you take the back roads. Every mile you see at least one or two Trump signs. Every single mile. Mm-hmm. No joke. I mean, anyone who lives in North Carolina will swear to that. You will barely see any Democrat signs, and except for ones that they put up along when the election comes up. And then, of course, and on drive back the highways, and you have all the billboards up. That's where you saw the Kamala Harris signs. Apparently, she was like dumping loads of money into North Carolina right before the election, I believe. Like, it didn't help her at all, but still, I mean, every other billboard, I swear, was this Kamala Harris sign, and it was ridiculous.
What about Kamala and loads?
Can you hear me?
Well, it's interesting.
Yeah, can you hear us? Sorry.
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
I live in New York, as I think a lot of people already know, and the number of Trump signs that I've been able to see just in random people's yards was incredibly encouraging even before the election. I don't live in New York City, obviously, because I'm still alive. And so of course I'm not in the Democrat stronghold of this state, but I will say that there's one street relatively near me where when you drove down it 2 weeks before the election, it was Trump sign after Trump sign after Trump sign after Trump sign. And that was the greatest thing that I could have possibly imagined at that moment.
Del, are you still there?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. I mean, I guess my microphone's been having some problems.
I could, but it seemed like maybe you were having trouble hearing us, or I don't know. But all right. But before I linger too long, did you have any item you wanted to discuss? As far as,
I mean, you had lots of topics to talk about tonight. I mean, there's quite a few to pick from. Let me see. Where's that list again? Let me pull that right up. Oh yeah. Let's see. So you tell me what you want to talk about. Laken Riley, for example.
What? Okay, yeah,
Laken Riley.
There's no
Laken Riley, for example. Laken Riley. Thank God that man was put behind bars. I mean, come on. There's that shouldn't have been like controversy or anything. It should have been like, this is the reason why you can't have these people, illegal immigrants and stuff in this nation. You don't know anything about them. It's not that, a lot of them are bad people. You don't know anything about them. You don't know who they are.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what that CNN lady was saying when she said, well, we don't know who these people are. How can you deport them? You don't even know who they are. Yeah, but I know they're not supposed to be here, and that's really the only criteria. So
then apparently, ICE arrested 3 illegal immigrants in Massachusetts. Apparently, what I'm reading, 2 were charged with child rape in Massachusetts.
and
in a state
were they
where-
arrested by the state of Massachusetts, or are they still on the loose?
No, they were arrested by ICE. They were actually arrested by ICE.
Okay.
By Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Even though this is a state that the governor has said over and over they will not cooperate with Trump's immigration effort to return everybody out, get everybody out of the state. They're not going to participate in that. Well,
You got all these governors coming out, including. Uh-oh, we got Del the robot, but you got all these governors coming out, the Massachusetts governor included, forming all these plans for how they can, and I heard the Boston mayor speaking to this effect too, forming all these plans for how they can undermine the feds and protect their precious illegal immigrants from the supposed threat of deportation. But well, what? How are things in New York under Hochul? What's going on there?
Well, everything here is retarded.
Oh, well, thank you
Everything,
for clarifying.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Insofar as where I personally live, I don't think we're seeing a whole lot of the damage that has been done by Democrats and their policies.
You don't have the Trend Day Aragua members? We can have them in Montana now, you know.
Yeah.
They're legit here.
No, I'm afraid that they haven't arrived here just yet, but I'm sure they're on their way.
They have fancy hotel rooms in the city, courtesy of Kathy Hochul. They're just not in your neighborhoods. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But at the end of the day, we haven't really seen a ton of that here just yet. Not where we are. We're a little bit too far away from, city proper type areas. And we're a decently lengthy jaunt away from the city itself. But we do still see Kathy Hochul as sort of an authoritative figure here. I say we in sort of a general way, insofar as like my neighbors, for example, will say, oh, Kathy Hochul did this, Kathy Hochul did that. This is the way that this is going to affect us, that kind of thing. But I find myself in a strange position where I live in a very, very blue state in a relatively red area. And as a result, I get a lot of different viewpoints. And as I used to work retail, I used to get them sort of shotgunned into my face, whether I wanted to or not. So Kathy Hochul is yes, exactly. Kathy Hochul is generally regarded here from the kind of person who will go to a retail store as pretty much nothing less than a traitor. But I know that there are some people who do not go to the place where I used to work.
Yeah. Maybe she's got that Kamala mystery appeal where supposedly people support her, but you've never met one in your life. Is it that kind of effect?
No, I've met them.
Oh,
it's just that they're real, but they don't do those peasant things like go to stores and buy things.
Oh, they're too elitist. I see. Okay. But how do they have the numbers though? Like I could believe that, but how do they have the numbers anyway? A mystery, I guess. But Del, did you have a final thought before I let you go?
Well, I know that I'm glad to see that. Did you see that election, by the way, that recently happened? I don't know if you saw that.
I did,
or not,
yeah.
but,
that was pretty crazy.
Trump has said that people are going to be impressed with the size of his election, and he wasn't lying. But myself, I'm looking forward to season 5 of He Will Not Divide Us. I think that's going to be. I can't wait till Shia LaBeouf gets onto that one.
Absolutely. When was the
5?
When was the last update in that saga? That was big like 2017. But has anything happened in that, or is he just given up for good?
I hope he gave up. I don't know. The last one was they put some flag out in the middle of nowhere, and they actually tracked down where it was based on flight paths and everything.
Oh yeah, and they had people driving around honking horns so that they could hear it on the webcam.
Horns, yeah.
It was amazing. That was one of the best parts of the first Trump administration. Yeah, it was awesome. All right, Del. Well, all the best to you and Maude and family down at the Double Wide.
All right, then. We all take care. We'll
Good
talk
to hear
to you
from
next
you
time.
again, man.
Have a great night.
You too, Batman. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Hey, look who's up next. It's Reinhardt. Reinhardt, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Oh, not much, you know. Glad to see that. Well, I guess we're on YouTube. That bad guy getting prosecuted. That's pretty good.
He
Never
was a
thought that would
very
actually
bad guy.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I am still curious why prosecutors opted not to seek the death penalty in his case. I haven't seen an explanation why, considering he's eligible and
Because
probably.
they're spineless.
Is it just that they just don't want to be the people who did it?
Yeah, of course it's that. I mean, where is he being prosecuted? Georgia?
Yeah.
So this is the
Yeah, okay, so
the
that's
Laken
kind of a
Riley
swing state. They have
killer.
the blowback.
You
Okay,
think?
so
But
I think the
Go ahead,
I think
yeah.
the primary reason that they're not prosecuting is the DA there, who's running the prosecution in, for lack of a better phrase, is the sort of person who will lie herself down on the stairs and take a picture with a rainbow Harris Walls sign behind her.
That's a big game, man.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, that's the reason, right? Because this is all political. There's no level of the justice system that you can go to right now and not have to deal with politics.
And I guess
there's
this,
no just pure justice.
And this crime was so egregious they couldn't possibly let it go. This isn't the sort of thing where you just say, we're going to drop the charges. You obviously have to prosecute him for this murder. But yeah, I couldn't believe how quickly the trial was over, Reinhardt. I don't know if you caught any of it or followed it, but it only started on Friday and it's done already. It sounds like the defense really didn't even try.
Yeah, I think this is in particular a case of a jury was it a jury? I didn't even.
No, it was a bench
jury or
trial.
judge?
It was a judge.
Yeah, it was a bench trial.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, yeah, those are always quicker, but this is probably a case of the judge having seen enough evidence to make a pretty quick judgment on it. So,
Yeah, maybe it's as simple as that.
you know, if it's a jury, then you got to worry about who feels what way about what issue.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know anything about this judge, but they're always quicker to make a decision, right or wrong.
Do you,
that's good, I guess.
Reinhardt, you think Trump is serious about all this mass deportation talk? You think this like military operation he's teasing?
No.
You don't think so? You think it's a bunch of smoke?
Matt, come on. Look, I want it as bad as the next guy.
Yeah.
But no, he's a coward. Okay, if it doesn't tell you enough about Trump, he wants Maggie Haberman to like him.
Wait, based on what do you mean? You think he cares what she thinks?
About his, of course. Yeah, he's constantly, mentioning her on Twitter, or was for years. And anytime she has something good to say about him, he immediately reacts to it. Why the fuck is he paying attention to these people? I'm only saying that to demonstrate that if he cares what any of these people think on any issue, he's not going to be effective. Because
so you think he'll face some political pressure that he might cave to?
Separating children from families at the border. Okay, when that's
here's the issue that
procedure to establish custody, and he chickened out on that. You think mass deportations is where he's going to grow some steel in his spine?
I hate to interrupt you guys, but my connection has just okay. It's like I had a big connection interruption. Now I think it's coming back. Sorry to interrupt. I didn't want to have you carry on if the stream was dead, but it's not dead. It's back.
I
saw that too.
Go ahead. You were talking about how Trump is spineless and he'll never do it.
Yeah, no, well, the whole family separation at the border. He suffered maybe a month of bad press before they straight up canceled that procedure. And that's just common sense establishment of custody for the kids. And he still backed down on that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Do you think mass deportations he's gonna suffer the hailstorm that's gonna come his way? I don't.
I guess if I guess I would temper expectations on this, but I would probably say for different reasons. I don't know that I'm worried about him caving to the political pressure. I just think the the problem is so massive that the logistics of getting it done are all but impossible in the short amount of time he has to work with. You know, that would be my reason at
That's
least.
so not true.
I guess it depends
I don't agree with that.
Depends on how ruthless you're willing to be, I guess. But okay, so what
exactly? It
take the other side
on
of it.
how badly you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, if
and
it's me,
I definitely think we have
my first term. Sorry.
No problem. I definitely think we have the resources and we have the personnel already. We don't have to hire more people. We can do this, especially because we have the precedent of when Eisenhower did his whole giant mass deportation thing. Typically, when you show illegal immigrants that you're not fucking around anymore, they will largely leave of their own volition. And I realize that, today and Eisenhower's day are different, but there are a whole bunch of how do I put this? There are a whole bunch of illegal immigrants who have been interviewed by people. I can't remember where I saw this. If I find it, I'll send it to you, Matt. But there are a whole bunch of illegal immigrants who were actually interviewed who said, well, if I were to vote, or when I did vote, I voted for Trump because that way the time that I spend here will actually be monetarily viable, as opposed to, I'll work here for shitty wages with a high inflation rate.
These illegals think it's in their economic interest to vote Trump because they're confident they won't face deportation. Is that what you're saying?
No, because they're confident that they'll make a little bit of money before they are.
Oh, so it's still worthwhile for them that even if they get sent back, they'll still make more money than if they were here and protected in Kamala Harris's crappy economy.
Right. And what you can say about their ability to actually have a proper economic understanding of the U.S. is questionable for sure. Not only because they're here illegally, but also because what kind of person comes here illegally? Like, let's be honest. The kind of people who come here illegally are not rocket scientists or economists or accountants or anything of that nature. They're people who come here because they can make more ramming in rail spikes than where they came from.
Yeah.
Right. So, or if they're trafficked here, which, that's a whole nother story. But the number of people who the number of people who said they wanted to, I shouldn't say the number. How do I put this? Even illegal immigrants are capable of realizing that they are economically better off under Trump than they were under Harris or under Biden or under really Obama times 4. But yeah.
Reinhardt, do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, honestly, I just don't buy that this is some monumental task. You honestly, you just enforce.
Well, I just mean in the volume, like it's like 30 million people potentially or something,
Oh no, it's way more than that. It's like 80 million.
Yeah,
because the real number was 30 million like 25 years ago.
That's true.
And it's skyrocketed.
So I'm just saying, like,
so I really
moving
do think it's near 80 million.
Moving the state of California, or maybe the entire West Coast, like picking them up and moving them is just a Herculean. Like, it is physically a massive task to complete.
Well,
it will be difficult for sure.
If they start kicking in doors and brutalizing people, that's not going to have to go on for very long before people pick up and move.
Yeah, I suppose I hadn't considered that. The old self-deportation thing.
Oh, life's pretty easy. Yeah, exactly. People, the left always tries to dismiss it as some absurd idea because they're afraid of it because they know it would work.
Because it already fucking happened.
Across the border illegally. Yeah, if you shoot one person that tries to cross illegally, you probably only have to do that 10 times before word gets around that we're not really letting them come here illegally anymore, and they stop coming.
Well, that's definitely. I've been saying this for years. You can look back at the shows that I've called into in the past. The fact is, if we basically just armed our border, and gave them permission, well, if somebody's trying to break in, treat them like they're breaking into your house. Shit would change fast.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing is applied internally. You know, if you're kicking down doors and throwing people in jail cells, suddenly it looks really risky to stay here. Maybe you'd be more comfortable in Mexico without having that sword of Damocles over your head every night.
Yep, absolutely. Agreed.
Well, thank you for the call, Reinhardt, and all the best to Mrs. Reinhardt and your family.
Yeah, you mind if I get one more thing off my chest before I go?
All right. Anything for you.
Real quick. Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
You're a disingenuous faggot.
Well, you know,
You're a faggot.
Along that line, our first sort of disagreement was because I thought you were coming off as disingenuous, and I wanted to give you a chance to kind of allay my concerns, before I jump to any conclusions rashly.
Wait, are you saying a new concern or the old dispute?
This is a new concern.
Oh, okay, what's the new concern?
Yeah. Okay, well, it seemed for a long time like, I don't always agree with you politically. I don't know, I'm crazy, but I appreciated that it always seemed like you were being honest about what you believed and why you believed it. So I let a lot of stuff slide, and I figured, he'll come around. And I thought that for a long time because I figured that's kind of, we were all kind of where you are. I'd say people that think the way I do now, we're all kind
people
of
that
where
want sword
you are
swings
now in the past.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of people in my camp are like, just, waiting for you to, what's it going to take? You know what I mean? For you to come around and say, maybe we should embrace a little more fascistic or authoritarian.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be waiting for a long time, but people's perspectives change for sure.
Well, and there's other things,
I definitely think that that kind of authoritarian philosophy works really, really well for a short amount of time. Now, I would love the power to go ahead and basically fix our degeneracy problem at the at the end of a snub nose.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to be able to do that, but it's not going to work because the next person who takes over might not have the same principles you do.
I want Reinhardt to finish his point, because I gather is there a particular thing that I've said or a thing that you wanted to get at?
Well, like I said, I was getting at, Blonde, her big sticking point for a long time is these centers of influence in all of our institutions. And one of those being the tribal question that you don't seem to want to consider. And, a lot of us are wondering, what would it take for you to admit that there is some sort of preferential treatment going on to the detriment of Americans inside of American institutions by these people?
Well, okay, so you want me to address the JQ. That's what you're getting at. I don't think that there's any resistance or hesitation. Is your question, are there Jewish people in positions of influence in, say, media, banking, other positions of power?
Well, no, I think all that's obvious. All that's very obvious. What it seems like to me is that you don't really want to consider that this is something that we can or should address. And
well, what are you proposing to do?
Your wife is Jewish or was Jewish. I don't know how you determine that, or you just don't want to consider that because there's no hard proof of these kinds of things.
Well, wait. First of all, are you making an accusation against my wife?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
I happened to know that she is Jewish, and I was wondering if you kind of stay away from that because, God forbid,
wait, hold on.
Some sort of
Do you know my wife though?
Well, no, of course not.
Well, so on what basis are you saying this?
Oh, I thought she was Jewish.
Okay. Where did you get that information?
That's just what I had heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand the accusation against me here. What is it that I have not done or that I should do? Okay.
Hello.
Ryan, are you there?
Did we lose him?
I don't know. You can't hear him. This looks
No.
like a bit now, but it's not. He's still in the room. I will move into the next caller, and I'll let Reinhardt stick around. I can't pronounce this, though. Beijing?
Hold on. I saw this earlier. Jiayi Zheng? Is that the... Did I pronounce that correctly?
Well, now I can't get a signal. I guess they've shut down our connection.
The name Justin in Chinese.
Oh, there we go. It's the name Justin in Chinese. How do I say it?
Jia Yi Zheng.
Jia Zhang. Okay. Well, what do you got for me?
Was I not heard earlier? God damn it.
What do you got for me, Mr. Jia Zhang?
Well, I was just wanting to talk about the whole Biden missiles in Ukraine. Oh my gosh.
Ukrainian missile strike?
Yeah. Biden, you are like your party did not just lose the White House. You lost the White House and you're getting minorities in both houses of Congress. You are as lame duck a president as it is possible to be. Like,
Truth.
You have no business taking actions that can lead us into a war without a very compelling reason.
They don't. Well, here's the issue with that. They don't care about your reasons for it. They only care about their own. Right. This is how these people are working. This is how this has been sort of splayed wide to us. If you'll forgive the vaguely horrific mental image that brings on. That's not quite what I meant. But the way that they've failed, and so they've taken the mask off. That's more what I had in mind.
Yeah.
So now they're just basically trying to get their way, no matter how it looks.
We literally just got out of a war, a very, very clumsy and poorly done withdrawal from a war, might I add. And now we're
in a way that made us lose the war. In a way that made us lose the war. We lost. We surrendered. They took things from us. They took land from us. They took equipment from us. We lost. We lost Afghanistan, and it's because of Biden.
Yeah.
Or, well, actually, no. Biden was probably sucking on a bottle somewhere. It's whatever douchebags who were behind him.
Right.
You know, I on the Afghanistan stuff, do you guys remember the name Stuart Scheller?
No.
Stuart Scheller was a Marine Corps Lance Corporal who, after the Afghanistan withdrawal, or not Lance Corporal, Lieutenant Colonel, my military ranks.
I was going to say, that's quite a difference.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel. He was an officer. And he made these social media videos after the Afghanistan withdrawal, criticizing leadership and saying, why aren't people being fired?
I do remember this now.
And
yes.
He was, he got in all kinds of disciplinary trouble. He actually went to jail for like a week. They made him shut up. They eventually got rid of him. He came to Montana State University a week and a half ago, Friday the 8th. And so I went down and listened to him talk. And one of the things he talked about was the Afghanistan withdrawal. It sounded kind of half his talk was about how that was botched. And then the other half was about his reaction to it and his experience. But he was saying, we all remember the Afghan people climbing on the planes and you know, base jumping.
Flapping around like a flag.
I guess it's not base jumping if you jump off a plane, but you get what I'm saying, like skydiving to their deaths. Yeah. And he said, you know, it was such a ridiculous sight. Did you ever stop and wonder, why are people clinging to the external fuselage of a plane as it's taking off? Does that make any sense? And no, it really doesn't. I always assumed because they were like crazy, perhaps really dumb Afghans who like thought that they could hitch a ride to America or something. He was saying
that wasn't my thought.
What was your thought? See if it aligns.
My thought was desperation.
Desperation in what form?
Desperation, like, if I don't get out of here right now, what happens after will kill me, and potentially in a worse way.
Yeah, it's closely related to that. And he was saying that at the time the Taliban had been moving towards the Kabul airport, and there was some kind of firefight going on, and the Taliban had used Afghan civilians as a human shield to move in there. They're like herding these Afghan civilians effectively. And so there was some kind of firefight, and they were avoiding live fire, and or, like you say, a lot of them had either helped American or allied forces or otherwise had targets on them because of the Taliban or ISIS-K. And so they were trying to escape that way. That is, like, the prospect of grabbing onto a plane and getting flown away was a better chance of survival than sticking around and waiting for whatever was going to happen next. That's how insane it was. And it was really worthwhile talk. Sorry, I sort of stole the call there, Mr. Justin, but I haven't talked about that on air yet, and it was really interesting to hear.
I mean, yeah, and I had to tune out for a little bit to put my daughter to bed. I don't know if you covered this, but I mean, Biden's done more than missiles now. He's authorized anti-personnel mines in Ukraine now.
Yes, yeah, that was the other thing. So it sounds like they're obviously trying to stop Russian advancement with these mines, but they haven't used them in the past, presumably because of their human toll. But
yeah, and because it's a much more direct hand from us in the conflict.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think we're heading toward something more serious, or do you think this is much ado about nothing?
It depends on what happens before the inauguration. If they're really not serious, whoever's in control, if they're really serious about it, they could get us way more involved than any of us want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they will try. They've already basically said that they will try. Yeah. The question, unfortunately, now rests on whether or not Putin realizes this, right? Because we have a couple of fixed factors here. First of all, the Democrats will try to get us into a war before Trump comes into office. They will try, because it will mar their enemies, their true enemies' legacy, as it were. Right. Well, they want to ruin Trump's time in office, so they will try to start a war. Now, if Putin is intelligent here, he won't back down. But he is intelligent, but he also, I think, realizes that in the eyes of the Russian people, he has to respond in kind to any threat, any provocation that comes his way. Right. Russians are just built different, man. Like they react to things differently. My best friend in my school days was a Russian guy, and he's part of the reason why I know how to greet people in Russian, how to say things politely in Russian, and also how to curse like a motherfucker. And that's literally all I know. That's it. Those were his two settings, right? So I think that if Putin approaches this intelligently, he will find a way to sort of tactically involve himself in Ukraine until the Biden administration is out, at which point he doesn't need to dive headfirst into a nuclear conflict. Nobody wins in nuclear war. Right. That's you can do the whole von Clausewitz thing if you like, but nobody wins a nuclear war. Putin's aware of that. We're aware of that. I think the only player here that isn't aware of that, or maybe who just doesn't care, is Zelensky. Right. He is the actual threat here.
Well,
my thought was just if Trump tries to reach out to Putin to say, hey, this does not represent what I'm going to be about when I come into office, then you just know the media is going to have a field day with that. Oh, Trump's a Russian asset all over again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course they will. But the thing is, they'll do that regardless.
Oh, yeah.
Before he had any contact with the Russians with of any real substance, shall we say. They were already accusing him of being a Russian agent. What they say about him is totally fucking irrelevant.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying that they would, not that they would have more reason to say so, but they would think they have more reason to say so.
All right. Well, thank you for the call, Mr. Justin. Do you have any quick final thought before we let you go?
Important as what the nearest honey badger thinks.
Did I lose? It's like you cut off mid-sentence there. Sorry. I might have lost connection with you, Mr. Batman. But
no, I'm here. Sorry, what was the last thing you heard me say?
It's like you started halfway through a sentence. The connection went haywire for a second. But all right. Thank you for the call, Justin. Do you want to say anything before I let you go?
Just God bless you, Matt. I'm glad you're still trucking on, and hope to listen to you some more in the future.
Well, thank you for contributing to the show, and thank you for the kind words.
You're very special.
Appreciate it very much. Have a great night.
You too.
Have a good one, man.
Okay, Reinhardt, are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't know what happened with the connection.
Hey, there. Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, so to pick up where we left off, I guess to be clear, I want to understand what the accusation against. First of all, it seemed like you were saying I'm disingenuous about this. What am I disingenuous about, or what is it that you think I need to do?
Well, like I said, I don't want to go ahead and I'm not trying to say right out the gate that you're being disingenuous. I'm kind of wondering what's keeping you from kind of going down that rabbit hole with the rest of us, where there's pretty clear examples of very orchestrated Jewish influence in all of our institutions, all of our major ones, finance, government, important ones, media, obviously. And, when I heard that your wife was Jewish, I don't know if she is or not. If that's not true, then never mind that.
Well, this is what I don't understand. When you say when you heard,
that's a perfectly.
I mean, first of all,
it came from the drama of the whole change the show, man.
And why do you?
I guess what I'm saying is that to say if that's true, that's a perfectly reasonable reason not to entertain these things.
Well, first of all, I'm listening.
If I have an Indian wife, for example, I wouldn't want to entertain anyone that has an ideology.
I reject the premise that I've not entertained this, considering I'm listening to you discuss it right now, and it's been discussed on the show many times. In what way do I not entertain it?
Well, it's just not talked about very often. I mean, from Blonde, yes, but you never seem to contribute to it, and I don't know if that's just you wanting to stay on YouTube. Like, I get it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, you present me. You got to present me with a question that you don't think you think I'm not answering truthfully about.
Do you think that Jewish people, as a collective, have disproportionate influence over important institutions in this country, and in general, are motivated with preferential treatment towards their own people over that of the American people?
I think that there are demographic disproportionalities. Yeah. I think the question is, what is the cause of that? There are several possible explanations. One is high achievement, high IQ, all of those sorts of things. Another is potentially nepotism, selecting people from within your in-group or people people within your family. I suppose the deepest depths of it are, say, like some sort of massive actual conspiracy where this is a plot to take over power centers of influence, that sort of thing. I don't personally believe it is that deep. I think that, but I wouldn't dispute the premise at all that there are certainly Jewish people in positions of influence and power. Is there something further you want me to answer about that?
Yeah, well, that's probably the least objectionable point on the whole issue, because you can see, there are maybe 2% of the U.S. population and around 30 or 40% of these large institutions where, boards, CEOs, things like that. So, yeah, the disproportionate representation, that's obvious. What I'm kind of getting at is the preferential treatment of, say, the benefit of Israel or Jews as a collective over that of Americans or the United States of America. when
Yeah,
they,
well,
when they
I
are
want
conducting these activities from that seat of power. They do it for the benefit of their own people over us.
Yeah, of course I want American institutions to represent and advance American interests. I don't think that that's particularly controversial either. But
Well, no, I was asking if you agree that they do that when they have these positions of power.
well, I don't know. Are you asking me to say that every Jewish? What is the position that?
No,
what's
no,
the
no,
premise
not
that you're asking me to
every,
accept?
Of course not. Just that just that in general, they conduct these activities to the benefit of Jews in Israel at the detriment of the United States and America.
I wouldn't agree to a blanket statement. Do I think that there's a lot of Israeli influence in the U.S. government? Yeah. Do I think that there are Jewish people involved with that? Yeah. I would stop short of the blanket statement, they, as in all. But do I agree with the premise that there's
I would say blanket statement means generally. Of course, nothing. We don't speak in absolutes. That's ridiculous. But in general.
Okay. So what?
If there's to be generalities about people of a certain religion.
Now why did
I think we just cut off
hold
again.
on, the connection dropped again. This is like
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Did
can
you
you hear me? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I think if we're going to, yes, we can hear you. I think if we're going to approach things in generalities, like certain people of a certain race or a certain ethnicity or a certain religion are going to have preferential, give preferential treatment to people of their own, I don't know, phenotype or whatever the fuck, ideology, whatever.
Race.
That's race, whatever. Yeah, obviously that's going to happen, right? That's the reason why we have places like Chinatown in Los Angeles or New York. Why we have large numbers of Japanese restaurants clustered in certain places. Why we have, whole communities where you can go there and you can not see one Mexican or not see one non-Mexican person. That just kind of happens. That happens all the time. Now, granted, there is an interesting thought to have, or an interesting thought exercise, rather, about what happens when a certain type of person who will inevitably exhibit the kind of preferential treatment to their own sorts get into positions of power at a disproportionate level, right? And maybe it's just because they are more culturally suited to gain political power. Well, the question then, huh?
What does it mean to be more culturally suited to gain political power? I don't understand that.
They adapt better. They figure out how to get power and they do it.
All right.
I think it's far more reasonable to assume nepotism than competence for the level of
No, I didn't say competence. I said cultural training. No, I didn't say competence.
Right.
I said cultural training
that leads to being more competent politically. Isn't that what you just said? They're better at getting
more
into
or less.
politics and achieving political victories.
Yeah, because they've been trained to from an early age.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't buy that. It might account for some of it, but nowhere near the amount of disproportionate representation they have. I mean, there's plenty of dual citizens with Israel in our government. I mean, I don't even know why that's legal. And it's certainly not a problem, generally speaking, except with Israel, because no other country
Yeah, I
has,
agree.
to my knowledge,
I agree that if you're in
kind of
government, you should not.
disproportionate representation in our government.
Yeah, I agree. You should not be able to work in government and also be a dual citizen. I think that doesn't work. And I say that actually as a dual citizen.
Wow. You're a dual citizen with where?
You know where I'm from,
Israel.
Or not where I'm from. Where part of my family is from.
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I guess I didn't mean to put you on the spot if you don't want to.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Part of my family is from Taiwan.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
But if you agree with that, I mean, that's good. I think that's pretty unobjectionable as well. If there's, that likelihood of a split loyalty, you shouldn't have people like that in the presidency. And, through that logic, you could say that for any seat of government. But then you also have organizations like AIPAC that peddle influence to almost every single politician in the federal government. I mean, Thomas Massey is the only one that doesn't have an AIPAC guy, whispering in his ear, telling him how to vote on which issues. The only one. And that's to the detriment of the American people, to the benefit of Israel.
I agree that foreign lobbying needs to be checked. It needs to be monitored. Yeah.
And it needs to be from everywhere, not just Israel.
Yeah,
if there were a Taiwanese person whispering into Trump's ear, I would still have a problem with that.
Sure. To be clear, I'm only using Israel as the example because no other country has that sort of lobbying power. Not even China.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as we're adopting rules that apply to everybody, if people are violating those rules at a higher level, then they're going to be enforced at a higher level. But Reinhardt, I got to make sure I get to these other callers. And in fairness, you did ask for one little thing.
To take up the whole night, So, I know. I'm really sorry about that, taking up so much time.
All right.
But I appreciate you indulging me.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Thank your wife for me. She gave me a whole bunch of great advice.
And he's out of here. All right. There's just a handful of callers. I know. How are you doing on time, Batman? Because I don't want
I'm
to.
good.
Okay. Let me.
I'm good. I can keep going.
I'll just try to. We only have a handful of callers trying to get in, so I might try to just finish up the call. The people who want to get in for tonight, and then we'll call it a stream. But
sure.
Let's see what Rusty Culture wants to talk about.
Good evening, Matt and Batman.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What's on your mind?
Last time we spoke was right after the election, and I was all worried about what they were going to do, and I did not have nuclear war on my bingo card.
Yeah, well, looks more likely now than it has in any time in recent history.
I'm like, that is the ultimate. I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Maybe that is the final Joe Biden send off. But what's your take on it? Are you seriously worried about this, or are you just kind of poking fun at it?
I'm going to take my ball and go to the bunker.
Yeah. Great place for wall ball. You ever play that at recess as a kid?
Ula 8 weeks.
Sorry,
I meant for this reference. You got it.
I meant for this to be serious. What's your serious take, Rusty Culture?
Really, my serious take on it. It seems like a lot of posturing. Seems like the deep state is upset, and they're trying to put as much chaos in as they can. Hopefully to make a big mess of more stuff that needs to be cleaned up. I mean, I'll have a lot of good practice having played plenty of the Fallout games.
So your scavenging is very good. Your resource management, all of that.
Yep. I was just thinking about it as I was waiting on calls. There's a really old Weird Al song called Christmas at Ground Zeroes. We might have that available as well. So,
Well, okay, if it's just posturing, that's good news, I guess, if there's no serious component to it. Or would you say otherwise? Do you think the posturing is set up for something else, or is it just to, I don't know, is it a weird Biden flex on the way out?
And I think it's a lot of craziness, and it's unknown territory at the moment, and I think people are worried on both sides because we don't know the rules anymore.
Yeah, well, Russia's saying the rules have changed. We didn't. Now you're sending U.S. missiles into our territory, so I guess the rules we were playing by before don't apply anymore, and we'll see what rules they start using. But,
no, we sold those to Ukraine, so those are Ukrainian weapons now.
Oh, right, yeah. I love that. That's the big distinction, is that we sell them / give them the weapons, and the only difference is we're not the ones who press the button. But other than that, it's entirely
here's the
our
problem.
action.
Here's the problem with that, though. We sell them the weapons, sure, and we get paid for it.
We train them how to use the weapons.
We get paid for it, and then we train them. We send people over to use them. We offer them our targeting packages and our intelligence on how to use them. No, it's us. We just hire some dumb asshole to pull the trigger.
Yeah,
like it's not that. Yeah.
There's just the semantic games that get played with all the definitions, so they can go, well, this is mostly false. I was thinking of one that pertains to you. They basically said that you accepted Russian money. Except it was filtered through like 3 steps.
I don't want to hear any more of these lies.
Well, Oprah took money from Kamala Harris. It's like, no. Kamala Harris's campaign paid Oprah's company, but Oprah didn't receive the money personally.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you're exactly right. Like, if the allegations are true, which as I've said, I don't even believe that they are, but we'll find out someday. Even if what the DOJ alleges is true, I had a contract with U.S. resident / Canadian citizen Lauren Chen and her husband Liam, and the sources of their money are alleged to be potentially some Russian person. But I was not a party to any of that. And it's interesting to me that when they say, well, are you going to donate that money to charity or this, or like do whatever with that? Okay. First of all, I mean, as I've said, when you fulfill a contract, just because down the line, like the money may have been connected to someone else's dishonesty doesn't erase the legitimacy of your contract. But again, given the chain that you've described, if I took everything I've earned and I gave it to whatever charity they want, Progressive Pet Project, Trans the Children charity, isn't the money still tainted when it gets to the Trans the Children charity? Isn't it still Russian money when it gets there? I don't understand why that severs the supposed pollution of that money.
I just get tired of the semantic games.
Yeah, I guess I'm not asking you to explain it. I just I
don't know either.
It's like, okay, it's a problem for me because it was once connected to a Russian guy, but if I hand it to someone else, it's no longer connected to a Russian guy. Why?
Money is not fungible. You need to understand this.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for calling, Rusty. Appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good night.
You as well. Okay.
Take care.
Close to the top of the hour. I got 2 more, Batman. I know I didn't ask you for more than an hour of your time, but
no, we're good. We're good. We'll finish it out.
Egrin, go ahead.
Gee williker, Batman! Matt Gaetz likes hookers!
Yeah, well, so does Biden. It's all
good. You've been sitting on that one all night, huh, Egrin? You've been waiting for that for like an hour.
I'm sorry if I just destroyed your joke. I apologize.
All right. What's on your mind?
So on the whole ethics issue, there was an event where Matt Gaetz basically invited a bunch of college students, like, hey, come over here to this yacht. And like usual, one of the ladies, is what I've heard allegedly, is someone brought an extra person while they're going to this whole yacht thing. So they forgot to not ID her, and that was kind of the issue. So far, doesn't look like they're really gonna investigate this any further. And this was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know who would even investigate it because the DOJ already has. And the House Ethics Committee is not going to investigate because he's not a member of the House anymore. It's just a matter of turning over what they've already assembled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, they have to deal with the fact that they tried to pull this shit on Kavanaugh in 2017.
Yeah.
And that stuck like a wet rag against a trampoline too.
The burden of proof is going to be higher than someone says, for sure.
Well, the burden of proof at this point is up to a broken justice system. Excuse me. Right.
Well, whoever made Handmaid's Tale, they're just gonna keep on, keep selling those stupid get-ups from Handmaid's Tale, which I looked at 2 episodes.
Well, that bitch can sit and spin as far as I'm concerned.
Margaret Atwood, is that her name? I forget.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess it's a good time to be
series
in
is
the
trash.
manufacturing those costumes, though. They're going to be in demand again. You know, money to be made.
Pretty much. It just-
I'm sure that she or whoever it is that's making these things are benefiting wonderfully from capitalism.
Yeah, and the whole like Laken Riley thing is
Laken.
Lincoln coaches USC. Who are you, Joe Biden?
You pulled a Biden, man. Never pull a Biden.
Never go full retard. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Here's the problem. People on the progressive sides are going to continuously sweep that under the rug as much as possible. They're not going to like really look at that issue genuinely. They're always going to try to find a way. Oh, this guy's legal and he did the crime, and not really look at it any other aspect of it. And then just kind of final thoughts.
Yeah, go for it.
You wanted to know whether or not is like what's the Democrats' plans? What are their influence? What are they going to do? Batman, gee willikers, what are they gonna do? For most part, at the very end, Kamala kept on saying Trump is Hitler, Trump is Hitler, Trump is Hitler. Why is that? Like, why throw away a throwaway card of that influence, even though that throughout the entire administration of Trump, he even like put the U.S. embassy in Jerusalem. So it's like doesn't really vibe as I'm so Hitler.
Well, they clearly didn't believe it to the extent that Joe Biden is cozying up with him, and there's a lot of Democrats or people in Democrat media influence who are warming up to Trump now. So yeah, I mean,
and more than that,
it's shocking to learn it was politics the whole time.
Yeah, and more than that, actually, it was politics the whole time is part of the reason. I think that did you see Biden when he did his whole first meeting with Trump after the election?
I didn't see the meeting. I saw some of the photos, but I didn't pay a lot of attention to it.
Okay, but did that man not look fucking happier than you'd seen him in years?
Do you think, Egrin, I'll leave you with this. Do you buy the thinking that Joe Biden and Jill Biden voted Trump? Do you think they did?
I would say that's kind of like just bait. Yeah, he did the whole hat thing. On paper, he probably did vote for Kamala, but he was basically giving like the middle finger, like, haha, I basically totally wrecked your campaign. And that was the entire ploy of it. It was the fact that he was going to be 25th Amendment, and he was like, well, then I'm going to pick the worst person. You're not going to let me choose, so I'm going to pick the worst person that you don't want. No one voted for her. So, and I bet you Josh Shapiro declined because that would be too much flack.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I kind of buy the claims. I've not seen it confirmed, but the claims that he was actually approached and he declined Kamala. It wasn't. I could certainly see the reasoning being the conventional wisdom is that she passed him over because she was afraid that he was too pro-Israel / too Jewish to appeal to their pro-Palestine / pro-Hamas crowd. But the other claim, the other rumor, she did go to Shapiro and he declined because he saw her as the sinking ship that she is and didn't want to ruin his political prospects for 2028 and beyond. And
well, here's the thing. Apparently it wasn't just him. Apparently she approached a lot of people to be her vice president and she had to settle for Walz.
Really?
Now,
that doesn't...
I couldn't give you any sources on this, but this is what I've heard.
Has anyone reported that, or you've just heard, like, when you say you've heard, from where?
I heard it somewhere. I think I may have heard it on like Tim Pool's show or something like that.
That would make the Tim Walz pick make more sense. Like, okay, this was literally all I could get was the school shooters guy.
I've become friends with school shooters.
He's the only one who would say yes. And
of course you have that fucking queued up.
I've become friends with school shooters.
One of my favorite buttons. All right, Egrin, thanks for calling in, man.
yeah, hopefully we go well on the Bible study, and
I'll be back on Friday.
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
Sweet.
Thanks,
Take care, man.
Thank you, man. Okay. Do you remember Red Falcor?
You got to be kidding. He got in.
He showed up too, and he is a little bit late. Miss Malevolent is up next, and Red Falcor's last. If you want to stick around for those, I know this is overtime for Batman, but
he's my buddy.
Okay.
He and I talk, and have talked for years now.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know you guys were that friendly. Well, let's talk to Miss Malevolent first, and I will get Red Falcor in here. Miss Malevolent, how are you?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. How are you?
Been a long time since you and I spoke.
Yes, quite a bit.
What's on your mind?
Well, obviously election stuff. I wanted to address that Allan, Lichtman, Cenk, Uygur thing.
I loved that segment. That was so funny.
Oh yeah, I loved it too. At first, I wasn't gonna watch it because leftists are insufferable. But
and Harry Sisson was on that call too. Not call, whatever, was on that show too. And listening to him is maybe a little bit like punching an awl through your own eardrum. But anyway,
he has a better voice than those Krasenstein guys, though.
Oh well,
you mean the lollipop?
Let's just go ahead and put the bar on the floor of Satan's wine cellar, shall we?
As far as listenable, progressive male voices, I don't think his is the worst.
Well, I mean, they're like what 4'11". They sound like the Lollipop Guild. That's what I call them. They're like, in the name of the Lollipop Guild. They're like, we love Kamala Harris. Vote for her.
That probably would have been a better campaign.
You shattering mirror noises.
That would have been a better campaign than she ran.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Did you have so you had thoughts about the segment though?
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was hilarious. At first, I wasn't going to listen to it. I can't listen to these idiots drone on about how the disinformation and misinformation. The fact that Cenk railed into that guy, first of all, the fact that Cenk sounded like the most reasonable person on that panel tells you how far gone these idiots are. But that guy,
it was a Piers Morgan show.
Although Piers has more moments of sanity too. I mean, I'm not a huge Piers fan.
So does Bill Maher. Doesn't mean they're not both faggots.
Jeez, all right.
but the thing that killed me was when, and once again, it goes to show these people have this overinflated sense of self. What we're seeing with all this, people melting down and shaving their heads or whatever, is, obviously mental illness, but it's a form of mental illness in regards to malignant narcissism. These people have an overinflated sense of self, and this credentialism class Lichtman is part of. You see how he said, "Don't blaspheme me," and I was like,
couldn't believe that.
Do you think yourself to be a god?
That's what I can't figure out. Like
sincerely,
he knows what that means. He's an intelligent man, regardless of his his political predictions or whatever. What did he mean by that? Did he sincerely mean to deify himself?
Well, I think that one's intelligence is divorced from one's ego, right? So he may know what it means, but he may believe it anyway. That's the only way that you can get to where he is, using the language that he is with the intelligence that he has. This is a guy who, if you removed his spine, he would spend a whole lot of time sucking his own junk.
Well, thank God for that spine, I guess. Maybe the ribs are doing
that mental image.
They're doing a little bit of work too, but
well,
all right.
I have enjoyed the meltdown and people revealing themselves.
Oh, it's been beautiful.
And their malignant narcissism. I've enjoyed walking around in my dark MAGA hat.
Oh, you have one, the Elon Musk edition.
I want to get one of those.
Well, I don't have the one.
I'm just not sure I should really wear it in. New York.
Yeah, you'll
It
get
doesn't
killed.
have that,
Go on.
that font that he has.
Yeah,
but
it was
I
like
have
that
dark-
Gothic font or like Old English or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a specific kind of Gothic font, but I got one that is the official gear. And I put my old deplorable pen in it, and I walked around, and it's funny. I haven't gotten any pushback or anything. Everyone's been cheerful, although yes, I am a 6'1" black woman, so that might be why I'm not getting anybody screaming in my face. So
You could even beat up Joe Biden, I bet.
Yeah, you could do that with a stiff breeze, dude.
Haven't you seen how many push-ups he can do?
That a stiff wind
Yeah.
could do that. Yeah, so I'm quite happy. A lot of things have been revealed. The other thing I'm absolutely ecstatic about, that along with fragile egos that Trump has destroyed with this win, he's destroyed obviously the corporate media. He's also destroyed the worship of celebrity. Ironically, him being a celebrity, he destroyed the celebrity corporate.
Well, he was the
industrial
celebrity that they all
complex.
turned on. He was the celebrity that they all turned on. His own people turned on him, and he came back and fucked him in the ass. And it was glorious. It was the best possible outcome. This is storybook shit, right? This is the kind of thing that you don't expect to happen in real life. This is the kind of thing that you expect to happen in a mythical tale.
Yeah.
Right. There's even like his whole he quote unquote lost his second bit. Right. So he has the perfect movie trilogy. He beats the odds in 2016.
Yeah.
Right. He is ousted by the evil forces in 2020, and then he makes his triumphant Return of the Jedi bit in 2024. You couldn't write this and people and have your audience go, yeah, this is believable, but it happened anyway.
It does follow the format. Maybe the format is created by someone who wants to pull us in, you know?
Well, this is one of those things where you think, all right, we truly do live in the Matrix, don't we?
Yeah. With the
I know.
Celebratory attitude is what the system wants you to have for unknown nefarious reasons that we'll soon realize.
Cue Star Wars music.
Yeah. All right. Miss Malevolent, glad to hear from you. And of course, if you want a final thought, go for it. But otherwise, have a great night.
My final thought is I'm happy for the outcome. We'll see what the future brings. I'm glad a lot of the systems are literally being dismantled in real time. I look forward. I hope that if I even get 25% of the promises that he's given, I'm going to feel like this was an absolute success for me. I don't expect everything, but if I can just get a little bit. And also I applied for Doge. So
you want a job at the office, huh? All right.
Absolutely, I applied for that. But
well, I think people like you are going to be needed there.
Do me a solid, Matt. I don't know if you have the juice, but have somebody unblock my Miss Malevolent account. It's been blocked for
unblocked on what?
So
X.
I refuse to remove. Yeah, on X.
Like you're banned? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I refuse to remove a tweet that I made towards a transgender person.
I see.
So
yeah,
the tweet is the tweet is transgenderism is a mental disorder via the DSM-4. And then I got, you have to remove the tweet. Get that. If you got juice, help me out, man.
I don't have any connections, unfortunately. I don't have any special person to communicate with. In fact, like, X has not treated me well. X is fine. I haven't whatever happened to me under the old regime. They kind of shadowed my account into whatever pit. And then when Elon took over, I was just so jaded by Twitter and X that I'd never cared to really see what I could do to try to make sure my account wasn't restricted in any way. So I don't know. I mean, I still use it, but I haven't talked to anybody who's in the know or on the inside. I don't have any special connections that way.
Well, see if you can talk
Well,
to
just
somebody that does. Help me
just
out.
have as many people as you can at Elon, because apparently he spends a lot of time there.
That's my suggestion, because unfortunately I just don't have any special way to help. But Godspeed, and I hope it
Well, it was
gets resolved.
wonderful talking to you, gentlemen.
Have a great night.
Absolutely.
take
Nice to hear
care.
from you again. Take care now.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, last word tonight is going to Red Falcor. And Mr. Falcor, Batman informs me that you two have become quite good friends.
Yeah.
What's up, douchebag?
Although it sounds almost like he was about to dispute that fact.
I'm just kidding. You know that. How you been, dude?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Of course. Yeah, it has. I've been all right. I'm about to move down the road here in Tacoma.
Did you get hit by the, what do they call it? The bomb storm, whatever, something bomb?
It's overblown, honestly. It's a fancy word for rain and wind, as if we don't have any of that here so far.
Wait, are you telling me that people in the Portland area are blowing things out of proportion?
Well, to be fair, we're actually closer to Seattle, so it's even worse than that.
I was going to say,
I don't know if you guys...
the distinguishment there is
it's all in the same I-5 corridor of nonsense. Yeah,
exactly. Go ahead, Matt.
What's on your mind, man? What do you got for us this evening?
A couple things I want to shout out actual Justice Warrior for his reporting out of Seattle that just happened today, I think, or recently, which was fantastic, about their ultra left mayor trying to be slightly less to the left on the topic of the homeless population, and getting shouted down for 15 minutes by one crazy lady. So that's fun.
Maybe moments of sanity or relative sanity creeping into Seattle, but this is what's going on in San Francisco too. It's like they've elected people who are merely garden variety crazy instead of absolute lunatics, and so that is treated as a rightward shift. And we'll see how this works out. I mean, I guess the direction is right.
It totally is. It totally is treated as like. I mean, let's be honest. The Overton window has shifted an incredible distance to the left over the last 30 years, and if you start counting further than that, it's shifted even more, but radically so within the last 30 years, right? This is where we get all of our equity shit from, right? Because can you imagine trying to say in Reagan's era, we need to pay black people because we fucked them 200 years ago, right?
Can you imagine?
That yes, that's what you'd get, and rightly so.
Those were the
you
days.
do love that. You do love that board,
of course.
But
okay, so
I can't hear it. So
yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't come through Discord. But maybe someday I can figure out that piece of tech. Okay, so Seattle maybe 5% less insane, but what else is going on?
Possibly, yes. And based camp, if there's somebody not listening to them, you should be, because they are leading the intellectual right.
Based camp is what it's called? What, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, based camp. It's a husband and wife who are former venture capitalists or something, and they have like 6 kids. You know, they're very, you know, like pro-natalists and always analyzing what makes a culture successful versus not. Particularly for breeding potential, which, you know, long game is
what you want.
Pretty critical. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, shout out to Based Camp then. I'll have to check it out. But,
Based Camp.
Have to look into that.
And
all right.
I was actually, you know, I haven't talked to you guys for a while, partly because I was feeling pretty discouraged by Blonde. And,
you were one of the black pillars. Just kidding.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. So I couldn't.
Cooler
anymore with that.
All right, man. Well,
so I'm glad it's a slim operation, and color me green also for Batman being on the show tonight. That's awesome.
well, thank you for calling in, man. Yeah. It's good to hear from you again, and I appreciate your participation in the show all these years.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Good night, man.
All right, take care, man.
Okay, Mr. Batman, I asked you to do overtime, so I appreciate you hanging out tonight. And
not a problem. It was fun.
I hope you had a good time. I think I just have a couple super chats to catch up with, and I can take care of that. I don't need you to hang out for that. So tell you what, why don't you just call it a night and get the hell out of here?
All right, we'll do. All right, you have a good night, man.
Thanks,
I hope I see you again soon.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you later.
All right, take care.
All right, there he goes. That's our friend Batman. You know, I forgot to ask him, Batman, if you're still there. Well, he took off. I forgot to ask him to promote any social media accounts or whatever he may have. But I hope Batman will be back. I hope this is not a like a one-time thing, and maybe he'll join me periodically for some for some old style call-in show throwback type stuff like we did tonight. Anyway, I think that we're good on YouTube and Tippy. Over on Rumble, Yvonne626 says, or actually back up a little bit more than that, likes to watch, says, thanks to Batman for appearing. Thanks to chat for being so charming. Thank you for the stream. Have a great night, amigo. Well, thank you for your support for the show.
We love
Appreciate
you.
it.
You're very special.
Yvonne626 says, this is a good show. Thanks. Great job. Well, it is a show, and I will certainly take the compliment. Dangerous Spaces says, how dare Joe Biden culturally appropriate Red Falcor's stutter?
I don't want to hear any more of these lies.
It was really good to chat to you, sir. Stutter aside, hope life is treating you well. And yeah, for people who don't remember, Red Falcor had called into the stream for a long time and has actually trained in overcoming his stutter for a long time, has really improved, and it's been cool to watch. And that's been a part of old call-in show history. So I'm glad to see him back and glad to hear from him again. But I believe I'm all set. Looks good on Odyssey, looks good on DLive, and looks good on YouTube and Tippy. So we will call that a stream, and I will I'll bid you a good evening. And thanks for tuning in tonight. Very much appreciated. Thanks to the live chatters. Thanks to the super chatters for making the live show a success. If you're listening later, thank you for tuning in as well. Thanks to Batman for joining for calls. Thanks to producer Tim for his help. Greatly appreciated. If you're looking for more of the show to listen to, mattchristiansenmedia.com is where you find everything. I'll be back on Sunday. Have a great night.